Hey y'all, Kevin Hutchison here with Realty Austin, and I am grateful to be a part of Stories Inside the Man Cave, a homegrown podcast just like my own business.
Hey, some esteemed gentlemen in the man cave tonight. HardballHardge. He is one of the OG man cave boys. And, you know, a guy that I respect a lot, does great work as a journalist, happens to be the beat reporter, or one of the 400 Longhorn beat reporters for the Austin American-Statesman, that being Danny Davis. And he and Jeff Barker are going to be part of 4 special episodes we're going to call Camp #Hook'em. In August. Danny, I owe you an apology. I want to apologize for Hardge and I both for finally, you've been invited, but it should have happened a year and a half ago.
Hey, don't put this on Hardge. This is all you. This is Sean. Since you hadn't invited me, I decided to come on here and disrespect you a little bit in your house, and I'm wearing my McCallum Knights shirt right now because this is a Knight family. So this is my little payback for your non-invitations over the years.
Well, we will figure that out. I think.
I love it.
3 weeks from tonight, the Taco Shack Bowl here in Austin, Texas. McCallum and Anderson, the blue and gold. I think that series is tied, right?
It's been pretty close. I know it's been kind of not many games separate. I'm a lot less into it since my wife is no longer the cheer coach at McCallum, but she was there for the cheer coach for 7 years. So got to see a lot of night games, and she still teaches there. So we're a night supporting household, and I can't wait for Taco Shack's the one game everyone can look forward to every year.
Yeah, it's the one sold-out AISD game, all AISD football game, and it's the beginning of the year, and after that, there's 800 people in the stand total at Burger or Nelson or House Park. Just wanted to throw that out there. Hey,
go support the kids, damn it.
Support the kids, damn it. AISD football, let's go.
That's right.
Go Trojans.
It is unfortunate, but
it is unfortunate.
At least that 1 week it'll be full. Oh
my God! By the time I have to recruit Charlie, your son, to be a Trojan, if your wife will allow me to do that.
He'll either be a Knight or not attending Austin.
Well, the reason why we're gathering, we got to get on topic because Danny and I and Hardge, we can go all different directions. You get us in a real man cave like this, but Texas football, it is a beautiful time of year because the topics are endless. And that's where you guys have got to reel me in because I'm ADHD. And by the way, these series of installments of podcasts sponsored by our guy, Kevin Hutchison of Realty Austin, from Waco to San Antonio. He'll take care of you in those tough purchases, that being a home. So, Danny, I know Hardge, you will be out there at Camp Longhorn here pretty soon. But, Danny, my first question is, have you had a good look at the new big humans that are now new Longhorns?
Yeah, I missed out on Wednesday's practice, but I was out there today for the 30-minute window that they let us in, and I kind of snuck up to see the linemen. They were practicing on the upper deck over there at the Denius Fields, and those were some big gentlemen. Kelvin Banks, Devin Gamble, that group, those freshmen that are coming in, those are not small guys, and they came as advertised. They're as big as the pictures that have been posted all over social media. They are completely accurate. They may even make those guys look small somehow. So those are big. They're not. I'm not gonna say anything bad about those guys because they are way too big for me to talk back to. So I think kind of with the problems that Texas has had with its offensive line, this is the kind of a breath of fresh air, assuming that that they can play, which is a question mark since they are freshmen, and this is not high school football anymore. There is there is going to be a learning curve. These are grown men that they're going to be going against on the opposing defensive line. You know, some maybe 21, 22-year-olds who are trying to, you know, make some money in the league next year. So it is not going to be a cakewalk, but assuming these guys play, you know, at least size-wise, they pass the eye test. So we'll just have to see if they pass the actual test once September rolls around.
Yeah, that's good to know, Danny, because like Sean said, I'm ready to get out there and go and check it out. But what I wanted to ask you was, when you got a chance to see them kind of moving around and stretching and doing everything that they were able to do they look like they're athletic as far as agility-wise? Because it's easy for all of us to say, oh, my gosh, these are some big human beings. But if you look at them and they look like they fit the part, but are they moving around like they fit the part?
I mean, I guess. I mean, you both know what these open practices look like. And, you know, from what we're able to see, it's not like they look like some lumbering oafs. DJ Campbell, you know, he's 6'3", 321. He moves better than I would move if I was 6'3", 321. Yeah. You know, Kelvin's a big guy too. And, you know, all those guys, you know, even the most out of shape linemen, you know, on campus looks good when it's just shorts and helmets and you're not, you know, hitting people pad to pad. So, yeah, from what we see, I guess, but, you know, that's you know, they're not going to show us anything that makes those guys look unathletic just because that's how those practice windows work. But, you know, they look good. But once again, they're in shorts right now. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll get to actually see some, you know, actual, you know, head-to-head pounding and maybe be a better test of how athletic or, you know, agile these guys are. But, you know, it's very possible we just won't see that at all until the third.
Right.
And I have to ask you both before we talk about what everyone wants to talk about. That's the quarterbacks. But should fans, and this is just my opinion, I think everyone needs to press pause on the impact that these freshman linemen are going to have in 2022. Because linemen, it's a tough position to learn, regardless of your guard, tackle, and God forbid you be on the blind side. Are all these guys capable, and you guys, both of your opinions, of playing this year? Because I think they'll be better as a position group, but as far as the level that a lot of fans have been saying, 10, 11-win season, I'm like, tap your brakes.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, they may not have a choice. I mean, they may not have a choice but to step in there. I mean, Zach Shackelford played as a freshman. I guess it was 2016 season. 2017, they didn't want him to play, but Derek Kerstetter started pretty much the entire season, and he probably was not ready at that time, but he stepped in and did his job. So we'll see. Like I said, these are grown men, not high school sophomores you're going against, and so that's going to be a little tough. But you know, these are big men themselves who are 5-star prospects who were well hyped. And, you know, let's face it, these guys are the recruits and prospects we think they're going to be, who are going to be leaving for the NFL. And, you know, 3 years, it's got to start somewhere. And, you know, maybe it's, you know what, they're going to get baptized early because that Alabama defensive line, that's not going to be a joke. And maybe it's not fair to say that, hey, we expect you to hold your own against Alabama, but, you know, that'll be a good test for them. And maybe by the time Big 12 play, assuming that those two and maybe a couple other freshmen are playing regularly, you know, maybe they'll be ready and, you know, contributing to the level we think they can by Big 12 play.
And I agree with what you said, Sean, about pumping the brakes and trying to let things happen. And I agree with what Danny said. You know, some of those guys that had an opportunity to play early, they kind of had to, though. Shackelford had to play because of an injury on the line, and then Kerstetter pretty much the same thing. But as the season went on, those guys got better. And it's just like anything else. And I talked about this yesterday, and I'll talk about it today, and I'll continue to talk about it. You don't understand the speed of the game, regardless of what level sport you played, until you get to the next level. So when you get there, the times, to Danny's point, they're playing against sophomores, they're playing against some young freshmen, they're playing against some seniors that are just as hyped as they are. But the speed of the game changes drastically when you get to the Power 5, D1, big-time football level. that you may not be prepared for at the very beginning, but you definitely should be prepared for it by week 3, week 4, week 5, and definitely by the end of the year. So you're absolutely right. They are big enough to be able to handle just the physicality of it, but the speed, the quickness, the reaction, knowing exactly how to pick up that guy and reading the defenses and understanding, hey, this Mike linebacker is going to blitz from the outside. He's coming downhill. Those are some things that will blow their mind. And I'm hoping that some of those older guys realize that the pressure is coming from these younger kids and they step their game up just to hold it off just a little bit. Because to Danny's point, I don't want some of these young freshmen getting baptized by Will Anderson coming off that edge.
And I know the quarterbacks at Texas, regardless of whoever you're putting in there, they actually have a great room right now. I know that they are glad that the cavalry has arrived, so to speak. And Coach Sarkisian, 2nd August camp for him. This is him talking about the evaluation so far recently about the QBs.
And so there's probably a handful of throws that, man, I want that ball a yard in front of his front number, and it was on the receiver's back hip. And so, from day 2, are we moving that target? Are we moving that throw? Are we really throwing that ball with accuracy that I know they're capable of doing? But again, there's a lot going on offensively. There's a lot going on defensively.
So I'm trying to decipher, is he talking about the quarterbacks as a whole, Hudson Card, Ewers, whoever it may be, Malik, or even Charles Wright? Who is he talking about right there?
Well, I don't think he's talking about Charles Wright because nothing against that young gentleman from Austin High, but he's kind of there. And I'm not sure he's going to contribute much this season. But Steve has talked in depth about both things that both Hudson and Quinn need to improve on. He went in depth on Wednesday about kind of Malik's early struggles in his first fall practice and some of the things that he did really well too. But this is a Quinn and Hudson story, and I think if you ask Steve, if you ask both those quarterbacks, there's things you can nitpick about both of their plays. I mean, there's throws that both of them wish they could have had back just in this media window that we saw, and there's also been throws that they both made that have been pretty impressive. So this is it. The Malik Murphys, the Charles Wright, the Ben Ballard, who sticking around as a walk on and giving them good depth and good looks and practices. Those are depth pieces right now. This is a Hudson Card and Quinn Ewers story for now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel the same way. But just like anything else, it goes back to what I said just a little while ago about the speed of the game. Those guys, they work out during the offseason. They're having these quarterback meetings and bringing the wide receivers and tight ends in. But when you get back onto the field, you got adrenaline going, you got all kinds of things, but you got to be able to temper all that down and understand that throw the ball. You're going in shells. There shouldn't be passes that are thrown behind people. There shouldn't be passes that are overthrown a lot of times on deep routes. I mean, I know it's easier said than done, but there's emotion that's involved in it. And for Coach Sark, he's a perfectionist at the quarterback position. I mean, he expects a lot from those guys. And I feel, to me personally, Hudson should be further along in this offense than Quinn Ewers. We all know Quinn Ewers got a golden arm and it looks easy coming out of his hand, but he still has to get all the verbiage down. He's got to understand protections and things like that. And let's not forget, the guy hadn't played in a game in 2 years, really. He hadn't played in a game, seeing what the speed of the game is at that too. But it's still early to Danny's point. It's just practice right now. And once they put on the shoulder pads and they start getting things really going, I think Coach Sark's intensity is going to ratchet up a little bit more too.
And that's one of the things that I think everyone wants this success to happen overnight. That is a ritual every year with the Longhorn fan base, and I get it. But the quarterback still remains that big question mark. And there's talents there. I'm just thinking, maybe Ewers is the guy that really performs when he may not be the best practice quarterback. He may be a gamer. I mean, is there anything to that opinion of mine? Or am I the only one really thinking that?
Well, I think if that's the case, he's not going to be the quarterback at Texas because you have to be a practice quarterback for Steve Sarkisian. You have to show it in practice for him to trust you in the game. You want a gamer, but I don't think Steve is, unless they need a shakeup on the bench or something, a spark is just going to start pointing at a quarterback on the bench and being like, let's see if this works. Let's see if you're a gamer. I mean, you may play better in games than you do in practice, all that stuff. But, Steve definitely seems like a guy that if you're not showing it to him, Monday through Friday, you're not going to show it on Saturday. That's just kind of the impression I get of the guys. But, I would also say that I think Quinn is doing just fine in practice. And as is Hudson. They've both had their moments, and I think they're both fine practice players.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Danny Davis confirmed it. Quinn Ewers is a practice quarterback. He performs.
Yeah.
He's not saying
he's just a practice quarterback. Yeah. He's performing well in practice. So
it's all about words.
Yeah, because if somebody grabs this, they're going to be like, oh, my God, what is Danny talking about? No. That's not what he said.
He did not say that. I misspoke.
These guys look good at practice like they should right now. And I agree with what Danny said about Coach Sark. And, if you're not performing well at practice, because I think we found that out last year. Yeah. I kept saying that Casey was throwing interceptions because he wanted to try different things during practice because he knew if I throw it, I'm going to see it's not going to hurt my team in a game situation. I want to see if I can get that ball in there. I want to try to see if this can work. And Coach Sark wasn't having that. He didn't want you turning it over at all. So all the risk reward thing, what goes on in Tampa Bay, no risk it, no biscuit. Sark don't operate like that. Sark is like, no, take care of the football and make sure you get it to the guy while he's moving. So I agree with what Danny said right there. That's perfectly stated.
Well, Danny put me in my place, and I deserve to be, because it's all about articulating a certain way, and I failed, Danny, and I'll admit it. I'll tip the cap to you on that. No doubt. Hey, the one thing about Sark that I learned, and I like it, I think the head coach should take a part in all position groups, all rooms. He's taking part in the other side of the ball, and this is why he's doing that.
I try to be just more engaged in defensive meetings, and not to slight from an offenser's perspective, but we adjusted a little bit of our schedule. For example, this morning the defense lifted first, the offense met, and then the defense came and met, and the offense went and lifted, and that gave me an opportunity to go to both sides of the ball's meetings.
So it's all about time management. And I have to ask that, I don't know if it's a tough question or not, but the first thing that comes to my mind, do you think that Sark is – it's not micromanaging, it's because there is pressure on PK this year as the defensive coordinator that Steve wants to play a part in it and communicate and see what's going on, or am I just totally out of left field right now?
I mean, maybe a little bit of that, but he's the head coach of the football team at the University of Texas. He should be going to defensive meetings. He should know exactly what's going on defense, offense, special teams, everything. That's part of the gig. His coordinators don't talk during the season. I mean, he's the one out there answering questions about his defense. He should know what's going on in his defensive rooms. And I don't know if Steve's going in there and taking the pen from PK or, Terry Joseph or any of the Blake Gideon, any of those defensive coaches, and starting to scheme up stuff on the whiteboard, or if he's just sitting in the back, seeing what's going on and making sure that he knows, exactly kind of the flow and all that stuff. So that when Saturday comes, he can contribute and, give suggestions, make no mistake. I mean, offense is definitely, his bread and butter, but, he's the head coach. He has to manage his team, and he should be, showing up at some of these meetings and, contributing and, being a fly on the wall so that he can properly manage. And, hopefully, you'd assume he has offensive coaches that he trusts who can run those position drills and stuff like that while he's gone and helping out with defense. But it doesn't. I wouldn't say that him helping out or staying in some defensive meetings means that PK is going to get fired the first time there's a touchdown in the ULM game. I think that's probably what a good head coach should be doing. That's at least maybe I'm underselling it, but I think the other suggestion is a little bit of a overreaction.
Well, let's put it like this. He's the CEO of a Fortune 500 company.
Oh.
He needs to know what everything is going on right now. And to Danny's point, sometimes when you go into these other meetings, you can pick up certain things too that says, hey, this is how if I saw this defense, this is how I would attack it. What is your counter move on this? So I, as the offensive-minded coach, I also can see, and they can tell me, hey, coach, if you're coming out in this type of formation, this is how I would attack it, and this is where I would see the hot spot or whatever. And let's not forget, Gary Patterson is there as well. So Gary Patterson is talking to Sark about those exact things like you're talking about, Danny, is, hey, man, you got to do it all. We hear Nick Saban doing it all the time. You hear about Pete Carroll and all these people that he has mentioned as his mentors. They've done this for a long time, and they've had success with it. So for him to be able to do that is important, not only for the team and the coaching staff to know that he's not just thinking about the offensive side of the ball. No, he's looking at the entire football team and all that it encompasses, and how can we get ourselves better. I mean, there's no reason for Texas to go 5-7 last year. None. There was no reason. You're leading in 4 of 7 of your losses into the second half. So that's you as a team, it's you as a leadership. And I got to give Sark a lot of credit. He's had those man in the mirror moments where he's gone and did some self-reflection that the previous staff, I don't think would have done that. I don't think that would have happened. So sometimes the humility of understanding that I don't know it all. That's why he went and saw McVay, because he needed to learn a little bit. That's why he had PK go and see Dan Quinn. There's self-evaluations that everybody needs to do internally, and I think that's what he did, and maybe that was one of his glaring faults of last year of not being involved with the entire football team.
I agree with that 100%. I think everyone, if you're a Longhorn fan or just a college football enthusiast, or you're in the coaching fraternity, Coach Sark, man, the guy is a brilliant. His mind, and he's a self-growth guy. He is defeated an addiction that is really tough. I think people really need to pay more attention to that, and also realizing I have got to mature and grow as a head coach, and he's doing it. I mean, is there anything about him, Danny, that you've noticed that you've really grown to appreciate and like in this offseason about Sarkisian?
I mean, the whatever it is, 18 months we've been working with Steve. I like that he's kind of the same guy, win or loss. He kind of stays on the same plane. He doesn't get too high after a big win. He's not going to come out with his chest pumped out. For the most part, after a bad loss, he's not going to come in there looking to fight the first media member who asks him a question he doesn't like. And every once in a while, he will get a little snippy with a question he didn't like. But for the most part, he's pretty respectful of that process, and pretty cool with the media. For the most part, I liked Tom, but Tom definitely had to act like he was the smartest guy in the room. And if he didn't like a question or didn't like, or was kind of having an issue with a media member, he would definitely talk down to those people, and that can be frustrating when we're all grown men and women in this in these rooms, and you don't need to be talking down to anyone, even though the fans at home might like it. I'll look at that coach, tell the media what's up, blah blah blah. But it's like you wouldn't like that he talked to you that way. So, I do like that Steve's is kind of even keel, respectful of the job we're trying to do. And I think that kind of fosters a pretty good relationship. So, I don't think we're ever going to get a viral video of, Steve Sarkisian slams a reporter, or Steve Sarkisian comes after or whatever, Oklahoma, and, trashes his Red River rival after a big win. Like, he's just a pretty even keel guy. And I like that about him. And, that's a long-winded answer to your question.
That's a great answer.
I remember what the question was, but that's my answer.
No. Hey, and you're sticking to it.
Yeah.
Hardge, you were there. Danny, you were there. I respect the part that Sark didn't invite everyone over for lunch and then F-bomb all of us when we got there.
I have no comment about that meeting. And to be fair to Tom, that meeting was not supposed to get out. That happened, and it's a little disappointing that that the tales of that meeting have leaked out. But at the same time, we all probably should have figured out what was coming after that meeting happened. But I still won't eat pizza given to us by the university.
You don't look at it the same, right? It doesn't have the same taste to it, right?
It's been ruined for me.
Hey, there are some names on this roster. I need your help pronouncing.
Yeah, I'm just gonna tell you right now. I'm not gonna pronounce these names because I don't want to get them wrong, and I don't need these players' moms getting on me. I don't need grandma and grandpa telling me that I'm insulting the family name. So y'all need Craig Way, or someone who gets paid to pronounce these names, because I am not your guy, and I'm not gonna disrespect these young men and men in their family name by mispronouncing them. If you want to throw out Hudson Card, I think I got that one, but I don't know.
You did a hell of a job on that, Danny. That was enunciation. You get a 4.0 in enunciation on Hudson Card's name.
I like it.
The transfer from Alabama, I can't do it yet.
Ajay Hall.
There you go, Ajay.
Yeah. I
have butchered his name twice, and I feel really bad about it.
Well, what you got to do is try to get hooked on phonics, because every once in a while you start listening to people pronounce the name.
Yeah.
And then the best way to figure it out is listen to Sark say it.
Sark
says the player's name. That's the tool I go with. And I try to repeat it as soon as he does. As soon as he says it, I try to say it the same way.
You guys are scholars. Then I need to follow the lead. I have never been a scholar.
You've done all right. Neither have I, Sean. I went to the University of Montana.
Well, you've had me fooled for a long time. Hey, real quick, I wanted your opinion on this. This is something I posted that nobody's commented on. We can agree that Bijan, of course, not only one of the best backs, the best back in the Big 12, perhaps a Heisman finalist, may win it. Deuce Vaughn, fabulous, awesome. I'm liking my guy Taj Brooks as one of the top 3 in the Big 12. Agree or disagree, and who would be a 4th?
Well, I think, the clear 1-2 is Deuce and Bijan. I actually got in trouble last year because I didn't believe that Bijan should have been a first-team all-conference back just because he got hurt.
Yeah.
And Deuce and Abram Smith and Breece Hall had such spectacular years. I just thought, unfortunate injury maybe should have precluded Bijan from winning a conference award. But, you're not going to get wrong if you can stack those two on top of your list. Obviously, Taj has had a good run at tag and had some good games. I like the running back at Kansas, the one that had like 14,
right?
The one that had like 14 touchdowns. against Texas in that whatever that 7,000 to 7,001 game was down in overtime that I'm sure a lot of Texas fans would like to forget. So I guess because there's going to be some turnover. I mean, Baylor's going to have a new leading rusher. Obviously, Iowa State's going to have a new leading rusher. Some of these teams are going to be kind of starting. TCU lost their guy to the transfer portal. So I mean, there's going to be some new blood, but obviously the big guns are those two, number 5 and number 22. In purple and burnt orange. Those are the class of the conference, I think. And I mean, I don't know if Hardge or Sean, you have any other opinions, but I think those two are the class. And then a couple other fine backs right behind them.
Yeah, and I'll even go a little bit further. I like Eric Gray from
Oklahoma.
Yeah, he's a nice back. I think a name that should be considered, and I think a lot of people are starting to respect the way he's gone about his game, is Rojo. Rojo's another back that the more and more you watch him play, and if he would have been anywhere else, number one, he might have stayed at quarterback. But number two, now that they moved him at the running back position, he's taken that over like he's been a running back all of his life. And that's been the most impressive part to me, is the growth and maturity that he has shown. Danny, I don't know if you remember this, but the very first practice, Sean, I think you might have even been there, when they were at the intramurals fields.
Yeah.
I walked out there and I saw Rashawn throwing the football. And it didn't look right. It didn't look right at all. And it was Sam Ellinger, I forgot who Casey Thompson, and then Rojo was throwing. And it looked like, I went over and asked Bianco, I said, is he hurt? And he was like, no. I said, are y'all changing his throwing motion? And he was like, no. I said, because the ball did not jump out of his hand. It looked like, and I don't know if it was because he was just trying to make the perfect throw, and you know how sometimes everything slows down. And I was like, I don't know if he's going to be playing quarterback at the university. I know the kid wanted to be here. I know that was his dream, and that's why he committed. But there was just something about the way he was throwing that football. So when all the injuries happened, and I heard that he was going to play running back, I was like, that might have been the biggest blessing for him. Like, that might have been perfect situation for him. And obviously he's done what he's done with it. And I couldn't be prouder of the way that he's gone about it. But I would say either Eric Gray or even Rojo would be the fourth back to pay attention to.
No, Devin Neal was the young man from Kansas whose name escaped me, who had a really good game here in Austin last season.
Yeah. Danny, I think he had over 1,000 yards rushing as a freshman.
I think it was
a little bit. That came against Texas.
He had them all against Texas.
Yeah. Definitely,
that came against Texas.
Had a good game.
Oh, my God. That is so true. We can't argue that. I don't know. To this day, upsets happen, but I still to this day can't believe we witnessed that. That's twice now. They should have beaten Tom's team here in Austin. And
Dicker the kicker.
Dicker the kicker saved the day. Yep. Hey, before we wrap up this first installment, we got to make this about Danny. You see, he's a Go Grizz guy, hashtag Montana Grizzly fan, alumni, proud tradition over there, FCS Power. Danny, what's it look like for the Montana Grizzlies this year in that beautiful stadium? Is it Washington Grizzly Stadium? Is that what it's called?
It is Washington Grizzly Stadium, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Grizz do. Probably a new quarterback in there this season. Last year was both a great season and a bad season. It was a great season because we beat Montana State finally for the first time in 5 years. It was a bad year because Montana State went to the championship game and almost won the national title. So hopefully, they're getting some buzz before the season starts. I think they were ranked first in the Big Sky Conference preseason poll, which is actually, as much as I do not like Montana State, I kind of thought that was a little disrespectful to the Bobcats. But we'll see. I would like for once, while I'm living in Texas, to have a chance to go watch Montana play in Frisco for a championship. Ever since I think the last time they made it was back when it was in Chattanooga. So
Yeah.
I would like to be able to go up because last year all my Montana State friends came down to Frisco and were having the time of their lives and, partying it up. So I would like the opportunity to go meet up with my Montana friends in Frisco and, watch a championship game, but we'll see. It's a long season. This is what happens when you have a big playoff. You can just have a bad week and all of a sudden you're out, and a team like Montana State, which had a really weak draw, can get hot and roll right through into the championship game, and you don't hear the end of it from all your family and friends who wear blue and gold. So we'll see. Hopefully we can have a good season. Oh yeah, Montana beat Washington last year too. So I had to go back and throw that in. So lots of highlights last year, but the Montana State championship thing stings a little bit. So we'll hope that we can at least regain those bragging rights from our friends in Bozeman.
Hey, Hardge, Danny, I'll tell you this. In 97, I went up with Stephen F. Austin to Missoula, Montana. That is, the grass is this thick. That is the most beautiful football field I've ever seen. The stadium is like this.
Sunken in?
Built around, it's on top. And the mountain is right there with an M on it. And just the most scenic. It's in a valley, if I remember right. And just absolutely stunning. And the fans, you think A&M fans are loud? No offense, UT fans. Per capita, Washington Grizzlies Stadium is louder than Kyle Field.
I don't know if I go that far, but when we have a good team to root for, it can be a very fun place to watch a game. I would encourage anyone who, if you have a couple extra bucks and you're looking for something to do on a weekend, there are worse places to spend a weekend than Missoula, Montana, watching a football game and enjoying the loveliness that is that section of the state. That's the beautiful half of Montana, and it's definitely a place that is very near and dear to my heart. I can never afford to go back and live there because it's very expensive to live there. But it's
you live in Austin, Texas, Danny.
Missoula's just as bad now.
Missoula is not. Missoula is not any. Austin, Texas. I can go live in the suburbs. There's no suburbs in Missoula, so it's a great place to go watch a football game if you want to experience something a little different than a weekend in Austin. It'll also probably be a lot cooler too. So
definitely that. Definitely that.
Hey, Danny returns for installment number 3 of our little series here, Camp Hook'em, in August. On I guess it would be the 18th. Jeff Barker from KI Sports is next week, and if we can align with HardballHardge's schedule, man, you guys both, man, the input. This is fun. This is what it's all about. We're going to try to break it down. You guys have the insider knowledge. I'm on the outside now. But it's been a lot of fun, man. I appreciate it.
I just want to know, when do I get to tell my man cave story?
It's coming right now.
I'll tell you what, Danny. We're going to set that up right now. Let's do this. Danny Davis, American-Statesman, the man cave story brought to you by Jim Saxon State Farm Insurance Agency. Danny, is there a certain story that you can tell to this date that you have, that you run the room? It is absolutely as funny as it was the first time you told it.
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to tell a story about myself. I'm going to tell a story about the host of this podcast. Hardge, as you know, and I'm sure as a lot of your viewers or listeners, or however you're digesting this podcast, Sean is a very positive person. He makes friends wherever you go. To be honest, it's really annoying. In part because I'm just a really cold-hearted person. I think actually the first time me and Hardge ever conversed was because I was annoyed with an email he sent me and probably snapped off some, really snarky remarks. Like, I'm a jerk. Clinch is a great guy. I remember a couple years ago when Texas went to the Sugar Bowl. Me and my wife were walking somewhere in New Orleans, and Clinch was kind of walking with us, going somewhere, and we stopped at like 3 different stop signs. And like every stop sign. Like he ran into like some different Texas fan and like knew them by name and like had like something to converse about. So that's the kind of guy Sean is. You know, everyone loves him. He loves everyone except for one person. And as many people have experienced, the UT parking cops are not the most forgiving of people. And so one day we're all waiting outside to go into practice, and someone came up and like, hey, they're ticketing all the cars that are in the parking lot that's across from the Daniels Fields. And so a bunch of people ran back to go, you know, move their car, you know, get out of a ticket. And a couple minutes later, Aunt Geronimo comes back and he's like, oh man, you guys would not believe what just happened. And apparently, you know, our Sean got the most heated anyone has ever been. It had to be restrained from the UT parking cop because they were giving him a ticket. And I don't know if Sean was just having a bad day or a bad week or whatever.
Probably doing something for digital.
Murder this UT parking cop, who I will add was a woman, and wanted to you know, get into a fight with this lady who was just doing her job, but at the same time, you know, the people who do their job in that department they're ruthless. They are out there to get their money. They do not care if you're working, if you're a student having a bad day, if you're the quarterback of the football team. If you don't have the proper, you know, cards, they will give you a ticket. And so, you know, Sean came back and he was still heated. And to this day, you know, this is like the only time I've ever seen Sean Clinch angry at anyone, at least this angry at someone. And, you know, the guy that everyone loves, that we found one person that doesn't love Sean. And that is a story I love remembering whenever we see Sean, whenever Sean is, you know, socializing and, you know, warming up the room and making friends with everyone. I'm just like, well, there's that one person that Sean Clinch is not like, and that feeling is mutual.
That was a $30 fine, by the way.
We've all got him, Sean. We've all got him.
She was relentless. The thing that bothered me, I don't remember what she said. She had no regard for anything. I went in there real nice about it. Hey, man, what?
Shocking.
And then she said, I don't care. And that's where I went 0 to 900.
That was a good one, Danny.
Oh, my God, Danny. The fact
I'm glad you brought that one there, man. I love the way you set it up, too, about walking into New Orleans, you know, going on your walk, talking to everybody.
And this guy is the most positive guy in the world, which for someone as negative as I am can sometimes be. I was just happy to see that Sean can be as bit of a jerk as I am. It was just nice to see him show his evil side, I guess.
Oh my God!
Special skill, man. Special skills.
It takes special skills to be patient with certain people.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Very
true.
I
have nothing but love for you, Danny, and Hardge. Man, you guys made it too much fun. And Danny, we're going to try to get Hardge on back for the 18th. I want to go find that parking ticket, by the way. I think I said that.
I hope you never paid it. I mean, you're probably in a station vehicle, so you know, let the fine folks at KVU figure that out if you never paid it.
That may have been why I was docked $30 on my final paycheck. God, I thought, thank God, man. I thought, man, something's off here. $30. You wouldn't recognize $30 on normal paychecks, but that last one I did. Hey, keep doing good work, man. Inspiring people. Much love, Hardge. DD, we are out.